Justin Simmons, Cortland Sutton, Montrell Washington made some of the plays of the day here at camp, day 6 of Broncos training camp. We'll hear from head coach Sean Payton. We'll hear from Garrett Bowles, and we have a one-on-one with Jonathan Cooper. Broncos Camp Daily starts right now. Hello, and thank you for joining us here on Broncos Camp Daily. I am Phil Milani. We've got our secondary intact here.
There we go.
Nick Ferguson, the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater joining me. Guys, how are we feeling?
Well, I'm feeling great today. Practice was another speedy practice, and it was great to see those guys get out there and compete. The one thing that's different this year opposed to last year was the rate of speed, getting in and out of the huddles and trying to get as many plays in as possible.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. It's like they're getting a ton of reps in, and that's always good because they do conditioning after practice, but the majority of the conditioning they get in the middle of practice, running from drill to drill, on the field, getting those reps. So I really like that.
The tempo has been much faster this year for sure. Guys, let's talk about where things stand with the offense compared to the defense. A lot of eyes on the offensive side of the ball with Sean Payton coming in, year 2 for Russell Wilson. Where do things stand right now, Nick?
Well, as always, at the beginning of training camp, the defense is actually putting their pulse on what fans are actually seeing. And usually it's kind of like a slow grind. The offense takes its time until more installed plays are now inserted into the offense. So right now, as you can say, and Coach Sean Payton talked about it, the defense has dominated practices so far.
And normally, offensive playbooks are about twice as thick as defensive playbooks, and they have so much to go through. They probably don't have half of it in yet of their full playbook, but they are looking very efficient. But yeah, right now the defense is expected to kind of have the upper hand early on in camp. I think as the camps go on, the days go on, that'll flip some.
Yeah, the playbook gets installed a little bit more. Maybe there's some fakes, some play action, Nick, and then the offense will have its day for sure coming up a little bit later. But so far, head coach Sean Payton, very impressed with the Broncos secondary.
The first thing you see is they have ball skills, they're smart, and their experience. You see the communication, so it's hard to find completions in some of these drills. They do a really good job of it. And they force you in some of their 7.5-man fronts to be patient and run the ball. They're a challenge.
Hey guys, that secondary is pretty loaded. I mean, Pat Surtain II, we all know about him. Justin Simmons. The secondary is looking pretty good.
Well, the secondary is looking pretty good, but one guy who's not really been talked about a lot, and that's Caden Stearns. And one thing that I'm looking forward to, that competition for who's going to hold down that position opposite Justin Simmons. But Justin Simmons continues to show up. If I'm not mistaken, this is maybe the 4th ball he's gotten his hand on so far in practice. He's doing a great job leading that group.
Yeah, that's one thing that we all love about Justin's game is he has great hands, but not only the great hands, but he has the ability to get there, to be able to break down what the offense is doing and put himself in position to make those big plays. He hasn't stopped doing that. Broncos country, you're going to be excited. He's still the same Justin Simmons that we've known from day one. But yeah, there's going to be some great competition in that room at some of those other positions, specifically the safety position. But I'm also anxious to see what those cornerbacks are going to look like because we got a lot of talent in that room with the cornerbacks.
What about the guys up front? We know about Randy Gregory, Frank Clark, another day where not practicing, but he was out there in uniform today. And then behind him, Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah, that defensive line is doing a great job. One guy I want to highlight really quickly is Zach Allen, new guy to this defense. And if I'm not mistaken, he's batted down 2 of Ross's balls so far. What that tells me is that if you can't get pressure, get your hand up, bat the ball down, be deflective. But also when you look at Nick Benito, a guy who definitely needs to improve this season with Randy Gregory here, you got Frank Clark, and you got Jonathan Cooper. You need to find ways to stand out, and I think he did that today.
Yep, I think both Jonathan Cooper and Nick Benito, they stood out big time today. They got to the quarterback a couple of times, coming off the edge strong. And the thing is that is going to be the thing that's been their nemesis in the past has been containing the runs, setting that edge, making sure that, hey, they may run this way, but the ball is going to be inside of me. And if they do get to the outside, I'm going to make it. So keep that outside arm free and make sure they can make it to the sideline before the running back does.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear from one of those pass rushers. We'll send it downfield level and hear from Sidney Jones.
Thanks, Phil. We're here with outside linebacker Jonathan Cooper. Coop, it's year 3 for you. Just overall, how are things feeling out there?
Oh, man, they're feeling amazing. It's always great to just be out there with the guys and just going as hard as we can, and this time we got the pads on. It's been the second day in pads, so, it's all that's real football. So just being out there with the guys, couldn't be better.
You've gotten some really valuable reps this camp. What kind of role are you really hoping to carve out for yourself this year?
Just whatever the team needs me to be. As special teams, as being a contributor on defense, whatever the team needs of me, honestly. I just want to play up to that level and that standard that everybody's kind of expecting of me and what I expect of myself. And just taking this camp, taking this stride and doing everything that I can to do that.
You've been one of the standouts so far at camp. I've had a lot of good rushes. Would have had a sack yesterday. Just overall, what do you think you've really improved upon since last season?
Just my confidence, honestly. I feel like last year I was still getting introduced into the league and still, I was used to the speed, but I wasn't confident in it and to trust my moves and to trust the coaching and everything like that. But this time with Coach Vange's defense and the scheme that we have and just the players that are around us and everybody kind of helping out each other, I feel confident just in my moves and my speed and my strength and, really being that player that I feel like I need to be for this team.
Yeah, what do you think about the addition of Frank Clark to the room? Obviously, 2-time Super Bowl champion Pro Bowler. Have you kind of leaned on him, asked him for any advice?
Yeah, of course. Anytime you get a vet like that added to your room, you want to lean on him and pick his brain to see what kind of moves, see what he's seen in the league. Obviously he's been doing this for a long time and he's been successful at it. So in order to, for me to be successful, you got to make sure you pick the brains of those guys like that and take advantage of them.
You mentioned another padded practice today. Now that you guys are able to get physical out there, what are your thoughts on this offensive line?
They're good. I think our offensive line is good. I like the additions that we added, with Mike. We brought Cam back. We got some different guys on the inside that are moving in. And, I really like this offensive line. They're physical, they're tough, and they're just making us better every single day.
Well, Jonathan, appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sydney.
Phil, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you very much, Sidney. At the end there, you heard Jonathan talking about the offensive line, the O-line a little bit better than it has been the last couple of years. With Bowles in particular, do you feel like he has something to prove this year? Because 2020, we know he had that great season, but then since then, hasn't been quite back up to that level.
Well, if you listen to him, he said he has nothing to prove to anyone but himself. And as a former player, I truly believe that because at the end of the day, you have to believe in yourself and the guys around you have to believe in you. So there's been a lot of naysayers, not a lot of critics, but that's the right mentality for Garrett Bowles to have. And then you're going to see that kind of pretty much go down the offensive line. Don't worry about the outside noise. The only thing that matters is what we do in this locker room.
Yeah, Nick said it right, just about the mentality that Garrett Bowles had. I think he's always had that dog mentality, the mentality that, hey, he treats the quarterback and the offensive lineman like his family. And, football means a great deal to him. And I know he's going to give it everything that he has. And, again, he has some more pieces to the chess puzzle here. And so I think it's going to be a much better year for the entire offensive line. And Garrett Bowles is going to be a beneficiary of that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Bowles definitely has a chip on his shoulder.
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and go to work. You guys know that. I love when my back's to the wall. I love when people doubt me. I love when everyone doubts me because that's just when I'm going to play my best football. I've been doubted my whole life. It's nothing new to me. So let the haters hate and let me do what I need to do. That just fuels my fire. So,
guys, he's got that dog mentality. You had the dog mentality, right?
Well, I had the dog mentality, but I got flagged for it. Every single time. So you have to know how to put that dog back in the kennel and unleash him when you want him to. But it's great to know that he does have that dog mentality. And once again, this is why this offensive line is going to be so much better than they were last year.
Yeah.
Says he just got to do his job. He just has to do his job, and he feels like the whole offense is going to play better.
Yeah, because I think they have better players at some of the other positions, and even looking at Lloyd Cushenberry, it looks like he's playing much better than he did the previous year.
Yeah, the whole side getting confidence, and then once that playbook gets a little bit more deeper, we'll see what this offense can do as camp rolls on. All right, that's going to do it for us. For the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater, Dick Ferguson, I am Phil Milani. This has been Broncos Camp Daily.